what it was saying. It was saying.
I'm doing all right. Yeah.
Our stories, no one else will. So, I'm a member of a group called the 3rd Regiment United States Colored Troops. We're Civil War reenactors. You know, you always see us on TV, they're crazy, they're drunk, they're shooting somebody. No, we seldom drunk and we never shoot anybody. This is our group here. You can see us at the 4th of July parades. We have a big event coming up at Fort Mifflin in April, and this very weekend at the Trenton Barracks. Bring your families. That's right. Come on now. 300 years. Now today I don't have time for all 300 years. So I'm going to center in just on a little bit, but I do want to mention that in every war that America has been involved in, Africans like me have been there. That's right. I know you got a problem. I know you got a problem with it. The French and Indian War, we were there. That's right. George Washington got a bunch of holes in his hat. And talk about how many holes we got in ours. But we were there, the French and Indian War. The American Revolution, Lexington and Concord. Prince Esterbrook, wounded on the very first day, April 19th, 1775. So we were there. 1812, we were there. You know, they talk about there were no Marines after the Black Marines after the Revolution. Look at Lake Erie. 300 Black Marines on Lake Erie, as well as numerous sailors. Of course, that'd be the last time until 1941. But we slipped in one more in the end of the War of 1812. But today, I'm here to talk about the Great War between the states. The most horrible thing that ever happened in America. Why? Because Americans were killing Americans. Mothers against daughters. Fathers against sons. Neighbors against neighbors. Communities against communities. Churches against churches. That's right. Now, what could make a war like this? Well, you know, guys have spent their whole lives, and women, have spent their whole lives trying to come up with the reasons for the war between the states. They've written books, they've had movies. So I know, who in the world do I think I am coming in here saying that it's easy? But it's easy. There are 4 reasons for all wars. That's what we believe in the 3rd Regiment. Whether it was Ramesses against the Hittites, or something that's going on in the world right now, the same 4 reasons apply. Anybody want to guess what they are? One of them is our favorite thing. Well, 2 of them are our favorite things.
Money.
Money! Ha ha! That's right, of course. And for this particular war, money was the issue. Down in the South, they were growing cotton. Up in the North, we take that wonderful cotton, a place like Philadelphia, Lowell, Massachusetts, turned it into beautiful shirts and sell it back at highly inflated prices. Ha ha! Well, don't sound fair, does it? Well, that depends on if you make shirts in Massachusetts or whether you grow cotton in Alabama. And personally, from my viewpoint, it wasn't fair no matter how you cut it. Because you had 3 million people who were growing the cotton who were not getting paid at all. And of course, that allowed for
Profits.
great, tremendous, outrageous profits. That's right. And guess what? Cotton was the 3rd one, and kind of the nicer of the 3. Everybody remember the first one?
Tobacco.
That's the 2nd one. Tobacco. Poisonous. Stinky and addictive. Come on, it's the 21st century. Nobody would put one of them things in their mouth now, would they? As a matter of fact, how can we keep selling stuff that's poisonous, addictive, and stinky? Oh, that's just a coincidence, right? How about the other one? How about the first one? Come on, everybody remembers this one. We all love it. Come on now. No.
Corn.
Alcohol comes from it?
Corn.
Corn? You can get corn to make alcohol, that could work. But this one is
wheat.
It's even more devastating. Yo ho ho and a bottle of
Rum.
made of sugar. Demon sugar. Poisonous and addictive. Right? A lot of times I say that to the kids, they go, no it's not! No. I said, kids, nobody ever told you it's poisonous and addictive? No, it's sugar. Of course, the test is, did you eat sugar yesterday? Did you eat sugar today? And do you plan on eating sugar tomorrow? If you can answer yes to all three questions, then you know why it's poisonous and addictive. 11 million people enslaved, and of course we made profit! Money! I'm talking about more money than ever before. Money's still around from those days. Selling tobacco, sugar, cotton. So when the war came, that was one of the reasons. The North was abusing the South, making them give us all their cotton. They wanted to sell their cotton to England, France, make whatever profit they want, and then maybe later on buy some nice Philadelphia shirts or Philadelphia shoes, or something like that. Money, number one. How about number two? What do you think?
Land.
Land. You know what they call it? Equality. We're going to have equality of slavery. So everything on the south side is going to be slavery. Everything on the north side is going to be free. We go right down the middle. We had the Missouri Compromise. Ha ha! Equality. Slavery on, equality, freedom. That's not the way we usually use equality. It's not. That doesn't. We don't usually call it like that. But that's what they call it. Equality. Now you know what happened? They said we're going to do this thing all the way to California. But we didn't own all the way to California. So a bunch of guys decided they're going into Texas. Now Texas and Mexico was this wonderful place. You know why? Because in 1822 the Mexicans said, we in slavery! I thought we get an applause or something. No. We in slavery in Mexico! So in 1835 these guys, this guy's a big knife, Jimbo? Yeah, and Sam,
Houston.
Yeah, Sam, yeah, and David, yeah! These guys all went to Mexico, right? And the Mexicans said, hey, welcome! We like everybody. You can stay in Mexico, but you gotta have 3 rules, okay? Number 1 rule is you must hablar español. Yo bien aquí no habla español. You must speak Spanish. Sound familiar? Just a coincidence. You must be Catholic. That's right. And last but not least, you must not have slaves. And you know what those Texans said? No, no, no. And had the Texas Revolution. We don't talk about that too often. That Mexico was already free when our great heroes went there and started slavery.
All over again.
All over again. Had a war to do it. Had a war to do it. Anyway, they got that straightened out. So Texas could be slave, right? Kansas could be free. We're going on down the road. So, land, money. How about freedom? Let's look at that one. 3 million Africans like me want to be free. You think we care what flag it was? Look about the same, man. What? Same colors, same stars. Do I care a whole lot what flag? I just want to be free. You want to be free? Are y'all crazy? Don't you know how much money's wrapped up in this? If you get free, we might have to pay you. Oh no thanks. We don't want none of that. Of course, sometimes we call America the land of freedom, right? Anybody remember what the first country in the New World to end slavery was? Ending slavery got something to do with freedom, right? Well, it didn't in the Declaration, no, did it? No, it didn't. Ending slavery had nothing to do with the Declaration, did it? No. Oh. them 13 stars, they were for independence. Independence. And sometimes I say, what does independence have to do with freedom? Not me. No, did it? Well, when they wrote that declaration, they beat the British. That Declaration of Independence should have given women rights. Women, that was freedom, right? Remember the Declaration? What did it say? All women. Oh, no, it didn't. All men are created equal. Sometimes I'm talking to little school kids and they say, well, sir, they meant mankind. I said, my grandmother is not a man, never been a man, cannot be a man in no shape or form. When they said men, they meant men, and they didn't even mean all men. But I was not included. So that declaration, 21 reasons why we separate from the king, did not give women freedom, did not give Africans freedom. So here we are, it's the time, right up to this Civil War. Wait a minute, there's one more. What did I say? What did I say? I said freedom. Oh, I forgot the Confederate freedom. Oh, man. The Confederates had a freedom issue. They did. Those doggone Yankees were taking away our God-given right to own other people. It's in the Bible. Book of Leviticus, chapter 25, verse 10. Anybody taking notes? It's in the Bible. Oh, here we go. Document it. So, the Confederates said those Yankees don't care about nothing but money. The Lord works in mysterious ways. You don't understand the Lord, and the Lord says, we can own them people. I said, no, y'all don't understand the Bible. That's not the Bible. Everybody thought they were the soldiers of the cross. Yes, they both sang that song. Soldiers of the cross. So there we go. One more, how about power? When America began, the Constitution gave certain people the right to pick the president over and over and over again. That sound like democracy to you? Doesn't to me, but you know, these things are technical, you know, very technical. So they had in the Constitution, they had what they called the 3/5 clause. That 3/5 clause said that every enslaved African was worth 3/5 of a vote. What kind of trick is that? How often do enslaved people get the vote? oh yeah, 3/5, yeah, 3 what? So what did that mean? That means that every state that had slavery got more people added to their numbers. Every 30,000 people added to your numbers, you got a new congressman. With that new congressman, you got electoral votes. If you had enough slaves, you get enough electoral votes so you can pick the president over and over and over and over and over. Oh, you don't believe this, do you? Anybody remember the first president? Let's give it a try. Come on, where we going? We're not going anywhere. Who remembers the first president? Who? George Washington, tall dude. What state he's from?
Virginia.
North or south?
South.
4 or 8. Presidents get 4 years and they get 8 years. What did George get?
He was president for life, wasn't
He could have been.
he? Yeah.
He could have been, but thank God for George, right? If it had been you know what Napoleon said? You know, he was taking the crown, getting ready to put the crown on his head. You think I'm George Washington? Don't be ridiculous. Put the crown on his head. George could have done that too. But George said 2 terms and I'm out. Lucky he did, because if he had stayed with the 3rd term, he would have died in office. So he got out just in time not to be president for life. But he did do 8 years. And that set our pattern. Because if he had stayed president and died in office, guess what? That would have set our pattern. So George got out of the way. You ever wonder why Ben Franklin tried to be president? Yeah, Ben was just as well liked as George. They thought he was a little tricky, but this was well liked as George. Ben knew that he wasn't going to live long enough to be president. If he went in 1789 as president, he would have died in 1790, and we would have been stuck in that same situation with a president for life. But George only had 4 years. He was from Virginia. Anybody remember the next guy?
Jefferson.
He's coming. John Adams. John Adams of. You remember his cousin Sam, right? They were all from
New York.
close. Massachusetts. Place where we turn these shirts into, you know, money. Massachusetts, John Adams. He's from the north. What do you think? 4 or 8? I'll tell you, 4. Well, come on, it's not a pattern yet. We can't shake our head yet. Somebody already mentioned this guy, Thomas Jefferson, right? Tall redhead guy, helped write the Declaration. All men are created equal, about 200 slaves at home. Thomas Jefferson. North or south?
South.
Virginia. 4 or 8?
8.
8. And we're rolling. The next guy was his boy. The boy was named J.M. James Madison, right. Remember his wife more than remember her? Because she made ice cream at the White House. Dolly, yeah. You ever eat Dolly Madison ice cream? Some of you guys had it. Y'all from Pennsylvania, you had Dolly Madison ice cream, didn't you? You didn't even eat it? It was cheaper than Briar's, I'm telling you. Anyway, Dolly Madison, James Madison. James Madison, he's a friend of Thomas Jefferson. So what state do you think? Virginia. Wait a minute. George is Virginia. Tom is Virginia. James is Virginia. What was going on here? Just a coincidence, right? He's from Virginia. What do you think? 4 or 8? 8. And we're rolling. He's got a friend who's even crazier than him with the same initials. What's his name? James Monroe, the crazy president. He told the whole world he should stay out of the Western Hemisphere. I'll kill you all if y'all. Didn't have no Navy, didn't have no Army, just tucking out the side of his neck. If the British didn't hold it up, the Monroe Doctrine would have been just a big joke. James Monroe. He's from Virginia, what do you think? 4 or 8? 8. We're going down the road. Do we need any more? Do you see the pattern? Let me squeeze one more in there. Who do you think's next? These initials. John Quincy Adams, that's it! That's it, John Quincy Adams. John. You think those guys knew each other? No, come on, get out of here. Now, friends can't give friends. Father, what? Father and son? President? In a democracy? That sounds like a monarchy. That can't possibly happen. Who? King George?
George and George.
Well, that's England, sir. That's England.
No, that's right here.
That's England. King George the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr.
Bushes. Oh, man, I don't know nothing about that. There we go. And it kept going all that way until they came to my favorite president of them all, Abraham Lincoln. Elected with no Southern electoral votes. The Southerners got so mad, they said, wait a minute, we can't control the presidency no more. We quit. We're going to go back to the Articles of Confederation. And that's why they called themselves Confederates. So the Declaration of Independence was first. The Articles of Confederation was second. The United States Constitution was third. They wanted to get rid of the Constitution so they can continue the way they want to go. Land, power, money, and freedom. Now, sometimes you're looking at an old war or something, you know, you might want to switch religion out for freedom sometime. But other than that, all through history, you'll find it over there. And here it is. It's 1861. Fred Douglass, sick of America. Martin Delany, anybody ever hear of Martin Delany? Martin Delany, highest ranking field officer during the Civil War of color. Now, I'll tweak that a little bit later. Major Martin Delany. But before the war started, he went to Africa. He said, I gotta go to Africa. We can't stay here. He went up the Niger River, found a beautiful valley up the Niger River, said, this is perfect. Let me go back home and tell my friend Fred, we're going to organize all the Africans, we're going back to Africa. No more prejudice, right? No more racism, right? It's going to be beautiful. So he gets back, he said, Fred, I found this place in Africa, Fred's going to be great. Fred said, hold it. Hold it. I've been to England. England was kind of cool. I like that. You talking about Africa? Nah, I don't think so. Fred said, nah, I'm not going to go. Besides that, I'm going to go to the first free country in the New World. Anybody remember that one? First country to end slavery in the New World? Yeah. Canada's 1838, after Mexico. Canada was important though because that was Queen Victoria, the teenage queen. She said, I'm the queen and I don't like slavery. Shut up, girl. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm the queen. And guess what? 1834, indenture. 1838, into slavery in the British colonies. But that's 38. Come on, you guys. The island of Hispaniola. The leader was named Toussaint Louverture. Haiti.
Haiti. Okay.
1804, Dessalines Lane said, any African who puts his foot on the soil of Haiti is absolutely free. Fred Douglass said, that's where I'm going. I got my ticket right now. Delaney said, Fred, that's not enough. We got to do something more than that. So Fred had his ticket. Martin had been to Africa. He found a wonderful valley for us all to move to. And everything changed when we heard of Haitian refugees, Russian refugees, Bosnian refugees, Sudanese, American refugees. People leaving America for a better way of life, education, rights, opportunities. Sound familiar? Just a coincidence. That don't matter. They went to the refugee camps and died in large numbers. Why? Disease. That's right. Basic sanitation people didn't know about. So, 1861 people are escaping to these camps. 1862 people are escaping to these camps. We still want to serve with Abraham Lincoln. We want to serve. And Abe is like, no, not yet. I got to have a victory. When I have a big victory, then I can use the black soldiers. But you know what they said in the South? There's 1,000 things you can do. We've already been through that, right? Dig ditches, wash feet, everything you can do. Anybody here, Robert Smalls? Small Robert? Small Robert actually got paid for being a river pilot down in Charleston, South Carolina. He was doing good and his wife said, Robert, we have to escape from slavery. He said, well, baby, I got a job. Look at this money. I used to sail the boat every day. You work in a nice hotel. What? Robert, they can come take our children in a minute. Robert, you got to get us out of here. So he stole the boat that he rowed. Put all his friends and family on the boat. They stole the boat, sailed on out. Now, normally when you steal something, everybody says, oh, man, you stole something. We're locking you up. When Robert got to the Yankees, they said, man, you're the greatest guy ever. You sold it with a beautiful boat. We're going to give you a whopping big $1,500 for this steam paddle wheel boat with 4 cannons on the floor, 2 cannons mounted. $1,500. Now, come on now. It's 1862. $1,500. You know what his wife said? Robert, you better go get the rest of that money. She said, each cannon worth $1,000, isn't it? And they giving you $1,500 for the boat and the cannons, Robert? Now, it took to the end of the war for Robert to go through all the mechanization. You know how the government can be. you hang in there long enough, and they'll be around. He hung in, and at the end of the war, he ended up with $5,000 for his ship, and actually bought the white mansion that he grew up in as a slave. Robert Smalls also became a congressman, also became a lieutenant general in the South Carolina Army after the war. So Robert Smalls. By the way, you think he was a black Confederate? He sailed the boats for the Confederates. Do you think he was a black Confederate? Oh man, I know, I shouldn't even brought that up. We hate to talk about that. Black Confederates, what is they, crazy? This guy right here, Joshua Wall, he came up with the Confederates in '63. When they got to Gettysburg and started fighting, he escaped. Then he came over to our regiment, the 3rd Regiment, because he could read and write. He was literate. Oh, I know, wait a minute. Standard English Common Speller. You get one of these books and you get a Bible, and you can teach yourself how to read. Martin Delaney, he got ran out of Virginia because he learned how to read. You know how young boys can be. I know how to read. You know how to read? Yeah, I know how to read. Come here, let me show you. You get the rest, you're going to rest your whole family. Black folks can't learn how to read. Martin didn't. He learned not to walk around talking about how to read. They escaped from Virginia. English Common Speller. Some people did know how to read, I think, and write. So, Here we are. It's 1862. Anybody remember who's winning most of the battles in 1861?
The South.
South. 1862?
The South.
The South. 1863?
The South.
The South. We're kind of getting close though. But the South again. Now, as I said, we volunteered in South Carolina. David Hunter said, yeah. How about it, Lincoln? Lincoln said, no. David Hunter get out the way. He replaced him, put a guy named Saxon in charge of the 1st South Carolina. Where's my picture of 1st South Carolina? I don't keep them this year. Huh? They're out this year. But 1st South Carolina, they were there early. I think there were some guys way out in Kansas. You heard me at the beginning of that song. I said, Fremont barely told us when this true war begun. That was Fremont out there in Kansas. 1st Kansas colored. 1862. They fought on Mound Island. No, they didn't have no fancy suits like mine. No, they didn't have that. They had some muskets, some bullets, and Missouri militia to fight. So, in 1863, we finally had it. The Battle of Sharpsburg. We call it Antietam. The president said, it's a victory. Now, I'm at reenactments all the time, right? I'm oftentimes talking to Abe Lincoln. I said, Mr. President, if we have many more victories like that, Antietam, 23,000 Americans killed or wounded in one day. If we had more victories like that, sir, there will be no Americans left. And you know, he always says, get away from me. Get away from me. I talk to you. Get away from me. But now he was ready to announce his Emancipation Proclamation. Now, I grew up in the 20th century. Some of you did, some of you didn't. And my teacher used to tell me, Abe Lincoln and the Emancipation freed the Africans. I understood it. I said, yeah, all right, Abe Lincoln. Then I got to be 42 years old. I sat down and read the Emancipation Proclamation. I said, I can't believe it. This is a trick. This is a interpretation. Remember Butler, the lawyer? Guess what Abe Lincoln was before he became a politician?
A lawyer.
A lawyer. And of course, we know that lawyers are clever before y'all start. Lawyers are clever. And the Emancipation was a clever trick. He freed only the people that were in the states that left the United States. He freed only the people in the
South.
Confederacy. Yeah, there were 5 states called the border states that he still had control of where he did not end slavery. Remember them? Of course you do. Sure you remember them. One begins with a D. Delaware. The next one's right beside it. Nope, right beside it. Maryland. Now this next one is real tricky because it's got 2 names. Oh, West Virginia, you knew it. And of course, the whole time we were telling the Confederates, y'all can't see from America. And then West Virginia started seeing, they said, you can't see from the Confederates. They said, what's the difference? The difference is us and you. West Virginia. How about the crazy K-State? Kentucky. Kentucky, she was striding, and old Abe had his spear. And then, of course, the Show Me State, Missouri. The 5 states where slavery continued to 1866, when we ended slavery in the 13th Amendment. Excuse me, 1865, when we ended slavery in the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Abe Lincoln. Well, I have my doubts about him. He was like, if I could keep America together without freeing one person, I will. But I have to free some to keep America together, I will. And I have to free all of them, I will. Doesn't sound like a war for freedom to me. Just a coincidence, right? So here we are. We're in. We finally get in, and they finally give us our guns. Right here in Pennsylvania, just not too far away from this very county, there was a training camp called Camp William Penn. 11,000 African American soldiers were trained at Camp William Penn for the infantry. Now sometimes we say, these were Pennsylvania guys. But no, you know what Pennsylvania said? No. Pennsylvania, Governor Curtin. No to the Negro. I mean, after all, who are you going to shoot? No, thank you. New Jersey, Governor Parker. No. Ohio, this is the white man's war, and the white men will fight it out. So as we noticed, 1861, they didn't do too good. 1862, they didn't do too good. 1863, they didn't do too good. Now, you know what historians always tell me? Well, Joe, what a coincidence. I say, what's up with that? What a coincidence. And then in 1864, when the camp started opening up and black soldiers showing up on every front. Now, the president of the Confederacy told him, he said, don't let me catch you in no blue suit. He said, I'm not going to treat you like a soldier at all. I'm going to kill you or I'm going to send you back into slavery. That's it. You're not going to a prison war camp. So Abe Lincoln said, for every person that you kill, I'll put one of yours on a hard labor camp. Right? Basically saying he's going to kill them too. So, 1864, you start to slowly see black soldiers start to show up at Andersonville and prisoner of war camps like that. But if you remember Fort Pillow, if you remember Honey Springs, you know about some of the massacres. Massacres on both sides. So, we get to join, and when we get to join, they're going to give us that wonderful new suit of clothes. Ha ha! You know, 90,000 of 187,000 men left directly from slavery into these blue coats. That's right. A brand new suit of clothes cut to the latest styles, made of the latest materials, so you would be
Sharp.
dressed to kill. That's right, I said it. Dressed to kill. There you go. And if you never had no new clothes in your life, what do you think? Yeah, baby. Look at these shoes. Brogans. There you go. No left, no right. Just put them on. They had to make shoes for 1 million people. You got to make them fast. There's no time for no left and rights. Of course, what was really good is when your shoes ran. See how mine's running down here? You know, running down there. When your shoes wear out, you just pick up some from somebody else.
Don't that make it hard to march?
Very hard to march, sir. As a matter of fact, for the first 2 months or so, and in my case, because I don't wear them every day, for the first couple of years, these things are horrible.
They still have that trouble left and right.
When I was in 5th grade, my parents gave me some of these, and that time we used to call them pro games, right? The old Civil War name was bro games. So by the time I became 11 years old, we were calling them pro games. And it had no connection in my mind to anything Civil War. They were just the shoes that never wore out. And when you went to school, everybody said, "You got them Frankenstein shoes on! Look at that! Look at that!" Oh man, the kids would scream, run up and down, "Your Frankenstein shoes!" Lasted all the way through 5th grade. Lasted into 6th grade. You ever seen them? Look at that top of there. Come on. Let me see you.
And then they would put
Taps.
Taps on.
Taps. That's what my heel's wearing down. See, I'm a private. I don't have that extra money. See, one of the problems was they said everybody get $13 a set. The black people. Because after all, we don't want you to shoot nobody, right? We want you to ditch your herd animal. We don't really want you to shoot nobody. So we're going to pay you $10 a month. And because many of you was enslaved, we know you don't know how to take care of your clothes. Now see, that's what really got me. You never had no clothes before. You got some new clothes, and all of a sudden somebody say, you won't take care of them? Well, except for the fact that they sold you shoddy material. Anybody ever hear of shoddy equipment? It was a company right here in the Delaware Valley called the Shoddy Company, known to sell the government.
Shoddy equipment.
That's how we get the name. That's how we get the name, Shoddy Equipment. You've been walking around and your sleeve drop off. That's all right. We had needles. We sewed back on. Shoddy Equipment. So here we got your suit of clothes. Your brogans on the bottom. I could talk about the whole thing, but let's just do the hat. This hat is left over from this Mexican-American War. Now, of course, I told you about Texas. Anybody remember Mexican-American War? We invaded Mexico, went to Mexico City, took over the city, and said, all right, we got you. They said, all right, what you want? They said, we want 1/3 of Mexico. I said, you got to be joking. You can't have 1/3 of Mexico. We in Mexico City right now. You see all them heads up here? We had some deserters. There were some Irish St. Patricio regiment. They were Catholic. They got to Mexico. They saw us killing the Catholic, taking over there. They said, wait, we're Catholic. We're going to go with them. 200 heads on pikes when they caught them. Mexican War. Come on, y'all. What states did we get this time from Mexico? Remember, who remembers?
Texas.
Texas. What else?
California.
California.
New Mexico.
New Mexico. Arizona. Nevada. Utah. Colorado. Yeah, remember? No, we don't remember that. That's our history. We don't remember that. No. Did we buy that? No, that was Louisiana Purchase we bought. We bought Alaska. But Mexico we conquered. Which is okay, right? Here's the hat. Had stays in it. Metal part went in here. That's how it looked during the Mexican War. In the Civil War, we take the stays out. We'll walk down the road, we stick stuff in our hat. Go some corn, a couple of apples. Put in there, going down the road, eat. Raw corn? Yeah, raw corn is cool. How about peanuts? Goober peas. Remember them? Peas, 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 eating goober peas. Wonderfully delicious, eating goober peas. Oh, that's an African word. I don't know nothing about that. Yeah, that's right. A goober. That's what they call a peanut in West Africa. Yeah, y'all don't know nothing about that. So our hats, our clothes. We loved them. We loved them. We took care of our clothes. We tried to be as the best looking soldiers ever. And there were those battles. Yes, we were at the battles and we served like anybody else. But of course, no medals. No medals to a place called Chapin's Farm. New Market Heights. Guess who was involved again? Ben Butler. He said these Africans had not had enough time to really prove their courage. Let's set them up with a deadly frontal attack on a highly fortified position. Yeah, that'll prove it. Hey, don't feel too bad. They did it to everybody. Frontal attacks on fortified positions is ordinary for the Civil War. You just walk up there and die. That's how it works. That's how it works. When enough people die, then the fort falls and you go in. Anybody see that movie Glory? Yeah, some of y'all old enough for that one. 1989, I think it was. Woo! Anyway, when the movie ended, all the black soldiers were dead in a hole. Remember that? They came to the white officer and said, "Get in there, rest of your friend." Paraphrase. Get in there. Cover them up. I walk up the theater. Oh my God, what happened? What was that? What? So you know, I had to go to the library. My wife says that I bury things in the library. Oh, bury lies in the library. That's what she said. Went to the library, come to find out that the 3rd Regiment, the 104th Pennsylvania from Bucks County, trenched up to the walls, captured that fort 3 weeks later, and the movie went on saying the fort was never captured. Don't get your history from Hollywood. Whether it's Rosewood, whether it's Gettysburg, whether it's that silly Patriot, don't get your history from Hollywood. So yes, my group was there. We actually went to Florida and fought around Florida. Just last weekend we had the reenactment of the Battle of Augusta. About 16 USCTs there, out of about 700 people. These were the guys who got around the snowstorm and made it to the battle down there. A bunch of guys stuck in balls there in New York, just never could get the Battle of Augusta. So yes, we fought battle after battle after battle, battle after battle after battle, and by the end, Robert E. Lee was surrounded. Appomattox Courthouse. Now, I wonder where's the picture? The picture with the colored troops standing there and the Confederates laying down with, there's a guy named Bradley. B-R-A-D. Is that it, Bradley? Yeah. Picture taker. Line up bodies all over the place anytime he wanted to. Somehow he wasn't at Appomattox to see the Confederates lay down their weapon. Ah, just a coincidence, right? Just a coincidence. But the biggest problem America had was right then. 187,000 black men with guns. What are you going to do? You can't send them home. You send them to the Confederates. So if they all go home at one time, is that going to be the end of the war? No way. One congressman said, well, let's just send the blacks home with no guns. Thank you, Congressman. Of course, there were some other congressmen out there who were on their side. Thaddeus Stevens said, 40 acres and a mule. Everybody said, shut up and sit down, Thaddeus. Ain't nobody giving no 40 acres or no mule or nothing. So, there were all kinds of arguments at the end. And the main guy we thought was going to help us got his brain blown out. We were standing there naked. So what are we going to do? Here comes the bureaucrats. Well, since they signed up for 3 years and they signed up in 1863, it's only 1865. We can hold them for another year. Let's send everybody else home and let's send these guys to
West.
Texas. Texas, yeah! Black troops going to Texas. We're going to tell everybody in Texas that they are free. It was the Jubilee. And at Washington, D.C., they said, you know, we never paid them black soldiers the same as the whites. Let's give them equal pay. June 15th, 1865, Equal Pay Day. June 19th, General Asa Gordon announced come down and have it in a more organized format. So once again, this Ben Butler is essential to these 14 people, right? After that, the Buffalo Soldiers, they get a few medals of honor for their action out west. I believe one guy got one on San Juan Hill. In the Philippines, we don't get no Medal of Honors. World War I, we're not invited. The Buffalo Soldiers, 8th, the 9th Cav, 24th, 25th Infantry, Battle Hardened, Victorio, Geronimo, Pancho Villa, San Juan Hill, Philippine Insurrection, Battle Hardened. No, you can't go there. You can't go to World War I. Why? What do you mean? We know how to fight. Why can't we go to World War I? No. When we tell you, you can't go to World War I. Well, what's that about? We only take a militia. 369, New York, Hellfighters. When they got them to Europe, what did they tell them to do? Dig ditches, herd animals, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. Same thing. The French kept bugging Blackjack. Come on, what's his real name? Blackjack. Pershing. Jack Pershing. The French kept, you got all them Africans? Let us have some Africans. We want to use them your Africans. They said, Blackjack said, get out of here. You got your own Africans. You got Algeria, you got Sudan, you got your own Africans.
Isn't that where his name came from?
Yes.
He favored the black troops.
Because down in Texas, with the 9th and the 10th, with Victorio, Geronimo, Pancho Villa, that's where he got the name Blackjack because of his black soldiers.
Yep.
But he wouldn't take them with him to Europe. So the militia guys are there, the French beg them, give us those guys. So they say, okay, I'll tell you what, take them, but you got 2 rules. Number 1, don't let them out at night. That's number 1, don't let them out at night.
That should apply to all of the guys.
It should?
All the soldiers, yeah.
Because it was, from what I understand, I wasn't there, but what I understand, it was a mess out there in Paris that night. The Americans fighting the British fighting the French, the blacks fighting the whites, everybody. I guess it was just you know what they were fighting about. So, anyway, they took them over, and the first thing the French did was what? Let them out at night. Blackjack said, I told you don't let them out at night. Then James Reese York with his famous marching band, Cecil Noble and James Reese York, the marching band from New York City. They marched down the Champs-Élysées. They're marching down the street and they're playing, oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh my God, the French people went insane. They knocked over the barricades, they rushed down the street, they started grabbing the soldiers, kissing. Oh, no, they didn't. They were kissing the soldiers. Blackjack said, put them on the boat right now. Get them back, right now. And they shipped them all out. 1918, before the war was over. Shipped them all back. Of course, the next story is called the Harlem Renaissance. But we have to save that for another February. Other questions?
You heard about Hector Street in Conshohocken?
My favorite, one of my best teachers is Noah Lewis. Noah Lewis is the man who does the impression for Ned Hector in the American Revolution. See, I only brought my Civil War board here, but I also do the Revolution. Because there's also stories that are not told. Ned Hector, right here from Montgomery County. My associate Noah Lewis just wrote in the Montgomery County Historical Journal, little tiny one. Been coming out forever. Very inexpensive. They got the story of the black revolutionary Ned Hector, the hero of Brandywine. Now, we argue all the time. He says he was a real hero. No, he wasn't a hero. But see, Washington ordered the whole army to retreat. Right? He couldn't retreat because he had a wagon over there with some horses. Just so happened his wagon was filled with gunpowder. So he went back, got on his wagon, rode it through the British lines to make sure he had his horse and his wagon. And of course they say when he was doing, he picked up a few guns and stuff, threw it in the wagon too. Now, my friend Noah says, he's a true hero, went through the enemy line. I said, yeah. But if it was your wagon, with your horses, would you leave it with the British? And if you had a wagon full of gunpowder and rifles, who wouldn't welcome you when you got there? If you happen to be caught by the British, I'm just bringing in wagon, just bringing it to you. The Americans, I'm just bringing it to you. He said, no, man, he was a true hero. He was a patriot. He's on America's side. Shut up. But no matter how it went, then Hector would have been all right. Yes, sir. Hector Street, right here in Montgomery County. One of the black soldiers of the Revolution, named after Edward Hector. Thank you. I wasn't going to bring that up.
So I went to school down there on Hector Street.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
I just found was just the birth certificate of my great-great-grandfather in 1865.
Ooh.
And I don't know what was happening at that time because I just got it like Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give me one?
Where do you think he's born?
Gainesville, North Carolina.
Woo! Okay. All right, and that's Gainesville. G-A, not Greenville. Gainesville.
I was trying to get it on the phone, but I don't got it. Gainesville.
Anybody in North Carolina here? That one doesn't sound familiar to me. My family's from North Carolina. They're from the New
Gainesville,
North Carolina. I've heard Gainesville,
Florida.
Florida.
that was on it first.
Well,
I was trying to get it on the phone.
There's a whole bunch of little towns in North Carolina. Oh, there's a big one.
No, I don't know. I just received.
Yeah, well, there's a whole bunch of little towns, so I'm not going to say there's no Gainesville, because there could easily be a whole lot of little towns in North Carolina. Of course, I don't know if he was way out west in North Carolina, they almost didn't get like battles and stuff.
Right.
They had battles in Tennessee, but they didn't have it in West North Carolina. In East North Carolina, they had battles. They went all the way up the Neuse River, all the way to a place called Kingston. And Kingston is almost on 95. Now, my family comes from the Kingston area. So when the Yankees got there, large numbers of my family ran, right? They come back up into New Bern, and they joined the 35th, the 36th, the 37th, 38th United States Colored Troops.
Cranesville? I don't know. I was trying to get it on my phone, but.
And then there was a fort there called Fort Macon. And at Fort Macon, North Carolina, they trained the 14th United States Colored Troops Heavy Artillery. So there's a lot of people who came into that area. One of my good friends is Juanita Patience. And Juanita for years has been writing these stories. Her father was very light, and he served in the white regiment. So when we were talking about the colored troops, he said, well, my relative wasn't no colored troops. I said, well, okay, well, that's okay. No, it wasn't okay with her. She wrote her own book identifying over 2,000 black men who served in white regiments. You know, once again, breaking down those absolutes. Well, no black soldiers served in white regiments because they were, well, some did. Cooks, undercooks, surgeons, those who were expert with horses. You know, many of those guys, those who were expert with arms and armory, many of those guys were taken into white regiments and served in white regiments. No, they don't get to be captains or nothing like that. Only one that was a colonel was Thomas Jefferson's grandson. Wales, Henderson, Wales. So he was one of the grandchildren of, you know her name, Sally Hemings. Mm-hmm. And in his final letters, when he was dying, when they had identified him as being black, and he had led a whole white regiment from Wisconsin, he said, please don't tell my soldiers, because he was passing. You know, he was in that zone where he didn't have to be black, he could be white, and he was until almost the time that he died. So, highest ranking guy on that side. Highest ranking guy on the north side was I don't have him up here, his name was Henderson. He's from the 1st North Carolina, died at the Battle of Lusty, Lieutenant Colonel in the 1st North Carolina. We don't recognize him as an American officer because First North Carolina was a militia group. Any other militia group, of course, the colonel would have been accepted, but because this was a black militia group, they voted for their own colonel. Of course, he was not. So, other questions?
Sir, if you don't mind, are you gonna stick around for the refreshments afterwards, or are you leaving right away?
Well, I'm going to stick around a bit.
Okay, and you can definitely conversate with them and ask them all your questions, and we definitely enjoyed your presentation.
Yeah.
Yes.